how long do you think the Steelers are going to ride with Kenny Pickett after this year? Because they have been taking advantage of their defense quite a bit. The offense has not produced. The defense is the only reason they're staying in games.
Well, I'll ask you, like, if you were the GM, what would you do? I'll tell you right now, from my perspective, there's not a doubt in my mind I'm going to look at other options. And by look at other options, I mean commit to other options. Let me not even steer anyone aside. I'm committing to another option this offseason.
So here's my thing. I think it is 100% a scheme issue with Matt Canada. But I think it's also like 100% on Kenny Pickett to play better. Like there is this is the same thing with like Nagy and Mitch in Chicago. They are both problems, but they need to be fixed because something I was just listening to PFF pod and they were talking about how when Mitch Trubisky was in, he has a very similar grade to Kenny Pickett. And the common denominator there is maybe their skill level, but also the offensive coordinator. So my thing is if you have two quarterbacks, probably around the same skill level, however you want to debate Kenny Pickett, but you have a coordinator who is the same for both and they're grading out the same, you would imagine that it's probably an offensive coordinator scheme. And you saw the Big Ben in the later years struggle with this.
Well, okay, so yeah, so there's a lot of things I wanted to address about this because I kind of got on my, talking about this last week, but it wasn't like, I just got off it quickly because it is what it is. And it still is what it is. But after a week like last week, I got to reemphasize the same point, right? Where a lot of Steelers fans just haven't really, what's the word I'm looking for, the analogy? Face the music, right? Like, it's right in your face. Because like you're saying, yes, like Kenny Pickett is completely failing, but it's also obvious that the offense sucks. But like we said last week, it's obvious that the two things can be happening at the same time, but for some reason, Steelers fans can't see it that way. I think I would say it like this. We could take Kenny Pickett and put him on a team like the Chiefs, and yeah, he'd look a lot better. He still would be, but then you'd have Chiefs fans saying, this guy's not going to take us to where we need to be. You see what I'm saying? The point is, you can see it on the Steelers. He's definitely not taking where you need to be. He's definitely not elevating you anywhere close to where you need to be. Even if you put him on a really good team, yeah, you can win games with them, but he's not going to elevate you to the promised land. And at the end of the day, that's what you're paying these guys for. I'm sorry, Kenny P. Sorry, Kenny P fans. The reality is, you have to move on from him as a starter in Pittsburgh. And there's just no other way to slice it.
So here is something that'll probably piss off Steelers fans. Tommy DeVito, who has only played in about 3-4 games this year, has the same amount of passing touchdowns as Kenny Pickett and about a little under a third of his total yards, passing yards, I mean. So it's just like when you have someone coming in like that and playing like almost at your level, yes, it is an offensive scheme thing, but there's probably some issues at quarterback. Like Tommy DeVito lives at home and makes $44,000 a game. Like Kenny Pickett was a first round pick. There is problems here. I think this says a lot about the Browns defense though, and just the Browns as a whole and their resiliency. They lose Deshaun Watson for the year, and these guys rallied behind DTR. Like DTR played like shit when he played in his first regular season game, which, I think he was a 5th round rookie. Like you don't really expect much from them, but
right, this is what we'd expect.
Yeah. So, but like for them to rally and beat like a Steelers team who, regardless of how you feel about their team, was 6-3, now 6-4, I believe. So I don't know. Are the Browns kind of built for that? Can the Browns still win a playoff game?
I think Browns fans would agree with me right now. The reality is, that's what hurts so much about this year. I know a Browns fan is a good friend of mine. He would tell you, yeah. The reality is, it hurts so much because no matter how good the team is, there's really no way. And but again, that's why you bring in a guy like Joe Flacco, which still is bleak. But look, the objective reality is, like with a guy like DTR, I mean, really, what's the chances you're going to go win 4 playoff games in a row?
Right.
I mean, even if you win the one, at that point, it's almost like, I don't want to say that it hurts you more because, yeah, you are the Browns. You want to win a playoff game. You had a lot of that recently. But then you also look at it from the perspective of the optics of like, look, we are literally losing draft stock. And yeah, by 1 or 2 picks. Hey, 1 or 2 picks can mean a lot at the end of the day. And the reality is this year, it's very likely not going to be the year with Deshaun not playing. It just is what it is. That's why it hurts so much because you have everything
Chubb
else.
Is out.
Yeah, Chubb, like we said, though, Chubb was fixable without Deshaun. I mean,
I'm just saying without them both, it is like a multiplying effect.
Well, no, exactly. And that's the thing is, if you still even had Chubb now, I'd be saying to myself, maybe just find a way, sneak out a couple of them. But without both of them, it's really a gut punch because this was where it felt like the year.
Yeah.
I would compare it to probably how they probably feel like kind of how Saints fans did. But the difference was being that this was Drew's last year this happened. Saints fans, when he got hit in the ribs, out for the year, and we're like, well, we're done. Like, we had such a good team. But without Drew, there's not a shot you're going to go make the run.
Oh, 100%.
It's kind of like Browns fans right now. Like, hey, look, like we had a really good team. This very well could have been the year. But the reality is now, like, on to next year. At least, Deshaun's not going to be retiring on you. That's a plus. But yeah, I mean, no matter how you look at it, it's going to suck. The rest of the year is going to be fun with this defense, but then it's going to suck when you look back on the fact that, yes, this could have been the year, but, things happen for a reason. I guess you have to stay looking at it like that. And I mean, Deshaun's played good when he's out there recently. That's definitely a big plus, is that, hey, at least Deshaun's showing you still steps up in the clutch, doing stuff. And, I've been seeing the narrative recently, and we had to talk about it. When you compare his numbers to Joe Burrow's, I mean, right now, recently, it's like, they're really not that
he
crazy.
hasn't played that bad.
No, he's not. That's where this weird narrative, like, and again, I get it. Whenever we talk about this, I just glaze over because I'm not going to sit here and talk about things outside of football. But people don't like him for obvious reasons now. And he's kind of has like the target on his back.
Yeah.
So that's going to feed into that narrative. But again, if I talk about things
objectively, he is like a top 18 quarterback. He is a maybe even top 14 quarterback where it's like you are on a playoff team with him.
No, for sure.
Like you can win with him with the way he's playing. And like something else I want to shout out to DTR for, and kind of to go off your point of Elijah Moore kind of coming into this offense, is he was able to spread the ball out pretty well. Elijah Moore, 7 targets, Njoku, 15, Cooper, 8, Jerome Ford, 5, like 6 receptions, 7 receptions, 4 receptions, 2 receptions. Regardless, he was getting the ball to multiple receivers and not just, targeting Amari Cooper every single time.
No, exactly. So I think, again, for the Browns, it's kind of just like, it is what it is. How about the best case scenario you could say is, hey, if some way, somehow DTR starts turning elite in the next 5-6 weeks, then you get the best situation ever at the quarterback room.
Yeah.
But again, it kind of just is what it is. You're building on this year, most likely for next year, but you're still a great team. And then with the Steelers.
Yeah.
I mean, besides the Kenny Pickett situation, nothing we had to talk about. I mean, Jalen Warren's been on a tear.
Yeah. But there's no reason that Najee should have got more touches than him.
Yeah, that's all I really need to say about Steelers at this point. Is it's like Jalen Warren is the hottest running back in the league at this point. Start giving him almost all the touches.
Let me ask you a question. Would you rather have 14.3 yards a carry or 2.9?
Matt Canada clearly would prefer the 2.9.
And also, just for some, basically, Najee had one attempt where he had like 17 yards. It was like a draw. So realistically, he's averaging like 1.3 yards a carry. Like he should not be getting, like, there's third string running backs on a lot of other teams that would be getting more than him.
It actually is to the point where it's getting ridiculous. But the Steelers offense is ridiculous. So this is just what we expect. I mean,
yeah,
it's hilarious, but it's not if you're a Steelers fan.
So before we move on, let's take our victory rap around the Steelers fans, man. Let's do it. You guys are constantly in our comments talking about Steelers. Y'all got whooped by a backup. Not whooped, but you lost. You lost to a backup quarterback. Like, realistically, like, DTR not outplayed Kenny Pickett, but he got the win. He did more than Kenny Pickett did, enough to get the win.
No, and just victory lap, like, man, it's just like, y'all comments are hilarious. If y'all are going to leave a comment, man, just be sure you're right, because that shit is just funny in hindsight. I won't even be the one. I'm not, like, y'all know me. I'm not even the type to respond in the comments again. I'm going to come leave it here. But I think I do need to come be star. I need to
the Steelers fans are like the only people I respond to, because they're just like so sure that their team is going to win. And it's just like, bro, you just got beat by a 5th round rookie who was starting his second game.